power. Technical difficulties. My goodness. Peace and power, peace and power. Salute, salute, salute. Peace and power to the people of the struggle. What's going on? I thank the universal truth and the absolute laws of nature for guiding me, protecting me, and giving me the strength to endure the imperfect. I shall attack with vigor, making progressive moves. The divine mind knows, the divine mind shows. All things work in divine order. All things work in divine order. All things work in divine order. Peace and power to the people that struggle. As you come on in, know that this is a safe space. Know that this is a space for learning and getting learned up. Know that this is a space for educating and being educated. Know that this is a space for conversation, comments and concerns, questions and answers. This is a space of intelligence and integrity, a space of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, love, hella right. This is a space for masters, queens, and queen comrades, a space for militant men, a space for now, for truth, for justice. Okay? This is the space for us. A space where we are working on a united path towards what? True liberation. As my classroom assistants come on in, please keep all contact information in the chat for the duration and throughout the class. Please keep all funding information. Hashtags, links, apps with cash, pals that pay, unions that are West, grams with money, red cups, blue cups, coffee cups, tea cups, damn it, squeegee man cups, squeegee man pockets, the pastor's pockets. The pastor's pockets, give it up, bruv. Yeah, we going down south tonight. Yeah. God damn it, jingle bells and everything else, damn it. Put the tides in. It's a war going on outside. Ain't that right, Lebanon? It's a war going on outside. Ain't that right, Tennessee? Man, it's a war going on outside. Hey, Baton Rouge. It's a war going on outside. Fund the war effort. If you or anybody you know is in need of anger management, please book an assessment. Don't wait until it's too late. Don't wait until you're getting cuffed up. Don't wait until you're getting roughed up. Don't wait until you're getting kicked out. Don't wait until you're in doubt. Man, book yourself an assessment. Don't wait until they give you a pink slip. HR says your services are no longer needed around here. Okay? Yeah, get yourselves right. If you or anybody you know is in need of a domestic violence intervention, book an assessment. Yeah. Stop sending each other outside. With a pack of frozen corn on your eye. Okay? Speed knots and eye jammies. Busted lips and twisted hips. Book an assessment. Stop embarrassing everybody. If you or anybody you know is in need of an intimate relationship abuse counseling and consultation, book an assessment. Learn the warning signs and behaviors that should alarm you. Characters and characteristics that should heighten your awareness levels. Past traumas, events, conversations, people, situations, places that should have your alertness levels on 1,000. Remember, with information, the life that you save could be your own. What it do? Yeah, again, another day. Tried to get class started. I've been trying to get class started since about 1 o'clock this afternoon. That's just what it is nowadays. That's just what it is. I'm telling you. To be one who is in service of the people, man, I don't know what's going on, but it sure is eating up the clock. And man, this is the piece I wanted to get to last night, because there's nothing more disheartening for somebody who is in deep love of his people than to see them confused, to see them push false narratives, to see them disunited. I hate that. I hate that so much for us. For real. For real. Because you would figure after everything in 2026 we would be having some motion. So when I came across certain information that I'm saying it's too late in the game for people to be just now getting up on it, that shit blew my mind. So I want to get down to the questions. We're going to call questions and answers on it. And again, I'm a soldier. Straight like that. I done put in so much work. I done forgot about it. Some of my day ones have to remind me. They have to remind me. That's when we get amongst each other and they start telling them little war stories. And damn, son, you remember you? Oh, yo, how about that time when? Yeah, you. And it's like, rarely is it ever on our people, because that's just was how we were built. Nah, we gave the old fade a lot. Gave him the business. But yeah. Certain things shall never make social media. However, these things that we weren't taught and this new information that came about, this shit that just came about yesterday, we gotta put in clear perspective, y'all. We have to put it, you did, in clear perspective. So we gotta tag the Poverty Law Center, the Southern Poverty Law Center. Tag them, tell them to bring their ass to class. Double agents. FBAs come to class. ADOS come to class. Man, well, whoever, melanated, black, whatever you, man, listen, whatever your consciousness, your understanding is, come to class. You dig? Come to class. Let's get to it. Okay? Let's get to it. And see, let's see who's in class. Tell your classmates. I know it's going to be light. Because when we get in depth and we speak on intelligence, I'm telling you, people don't show. Because they don't want to have to question themselves. They don't want to have to stand on their square. Some people, again, they like the bells and the whistles, right? And the hip hop and the, man, listen. Y'all gonna get this work. Yeah, y'all gonna get this work. But tag your classmates, tell them to come to class anyway. It's late. I'm gonna withstand it. I'm gonna do what I do. I'm glad y'all here. Let's see who's here though. Come on, damn it. Let's see who's here. Who that? Ken Williams, first in class. What's going on? We see you. Lovely lady. Woo, lovely lady, second. Lovely lady. She up in here. Let's see. Uh-oh. Huh? What up, Carter? Huh? Let's get to it. Much appreciation. Okay. Mark Miller, what's going on? Ooh, Charles, what up? Ooh, heck nah. Yeah, we see you. Tay, what up, Tay? Little Tiptoe, what up? Huh? Mr. Strictly Game, the brand. Yeah, artist extraordinaire. Artiste. LA's in the building. What up, LA? Indigenous warrior, what's going on? Huh? Uh-oh, Johnny. God diggity damn it, what up? We find out what's going on with you, soldier. We see you. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, who that? Big who? What up, Shay? We see you. Uh-oh, DC in the building. Reinhardt, what's going on? We see you. Mm-hmm. What up, working class artiste? What's going on? We see you. Neville Chung, what up? Hold on, how I get all the way down there? Damn, y'all playing with the... Man, would y'all stop playing with the attendance? What's going on? Let something happen? Damn, somebody playing with the attendance. Okay. Angel, what up? Philly, what up? 215 CA, what up? Mike Nice, what's going on? Philip Boone, what up? What up, OG Kicks, what up? Sean Jenkins, what up? Dow, what up, Dow? Neef Bucks, Philly, what up? Philly, always deep. Angel, sincere peace, man. Terrell, what up, bro? We see you, what's going on? Oh, Philly again. God damn it, we see you, what's going on? What's going on, Roots? Yeah. What's up with that hand? Yeah, get that hand right. Hey, Ghost, what up? Ta-ta, peace. What up? Thanks for the apples. Brooklyn Jules. Man. Yeah, we're going to get that right. We're going to get it right. Right, Jules? Yeah, we're going to get it right. What up, Mayor? What's going on? Hakim, peace. We see you, George Johnson. What up? Yeah. Your YG's gonna crash out, or your YN's gonna crash out. We see you, V. What up? We got Oakland, Bay Area in the building. What up, V? Dustfro, what up? We see you. Yeah. PJ Allen, 55 for PJ. 55. PJ Allen up in here. God damn it, we see you. Yeah. Y'all up in here? Mm-hmm. Yeah, only ones is up in here. Oh, man. Come on now. First and foremost, again, everything in class always connects. Either it's going to connect tonight or may connect to a previous class, right? But that's what it is. It's learning. It's growth. It's never being allowed to forget past lessons because it all is part of that consciousness to put us in a different space. Now, I done spoke on capitalism. I done spoke on fiat currency. You dig what I'm saying? I done spoke on resources and how our labor is the driving force of the universe. You understand that we living up under some out of alignment bullshit when it comes to dealing with these white folk. I done spoke on all that. However, people still sit in the pocket of believing that that fiat currency is going to place them in a space of liberation, right? Because that should be our ultimate goal. Your ultimate goal, once you become conscious and aware of the technology, conscious and aware of the lie, conscious and aware of the con game, that your goal as that knowledgeable person, that God being, is to get from up under it. That should be your goal. You understand? So, I know people pick up different doctrines and try to run with it. And that's because people have a desire to belong and another desire to name themselves, even though they don't know how to articulate that. That's all liberating the self is. Having the right, because somebody else named you, to claim, name, and understand yourself and your purpose. Right? And in the path towards that naming yourself, there's certain points at which you get stuck or you're hesitant. So instead of manifesting yourself in that journey and making that your goal, you hesitate along the way. Because once you name yourself, you have to be responsible for the self. You can no longer rely on your captor's definition of who you are, on your captor's systems that they use to trap you with. You can't use none of that. All that goes out the window. So some of us psychologically get stuck and say, well, it ain't that bad. If we struggle to this point, we could be comfortable in our oppression. We can be comfortable in our oppression. Like I always say, a lot of people are woke to a degree. Yeah, they just sleepwalking. They got one eye open because they're fearful of that responsibility. That means you have to grow your own food for sustenance. You have to control your own water and irrigation systems and plumbing. You have to be one with nature, know how to speak to get what you want. You can't just run up in the grocery store no more. You understand? And unless you commandeer that. And in the space of commandeering it, you still have to shift it. The tools of oppression cannot remain in place. You have to start from the ground up if you truly understand that. You dig? So people pick up certain doctrines as a default and they lean on it and they expect us to lean on it with them. You dig? Exactly, indigenous warrior. Either we all comfortable or we all very uncomfortable. We all rocking and rolling. Right? So, our people, because of the very, man, what's good? Our people, because of the very unique situation in which we find ourselves, it confuses many. So we have all these different realizations of the self, and people pull people in this direction, and other people group amongst themselves in that direction, and we haven't gained. We haven't gained. Again, because I tell you, because we consistently allow somebody to name us. The only movement, the only doctrine, the only space where we named ourselves and people hate it because, again, it's so brash, it's so in your face, is when Father Allah, okay, gave the students, right, the degrees and the lessons and named you all gods. You understand? That still to this day unnerves people because they're still sitting with the definition that the oppressor has given them of what God or who God or how God is. So that disturbs people. Right? You could call a girl a boy and a boy a girl. You could call, people biracial, half this and half that. You could call people all type of stuff, but don't call them God. Oh, man. Oh, man. You understand? That's the only space where people said, this is who we are. We calling, this is who we are. Right? Now, in our people and how these different layers of us have walked in certain directions, you have everything from the extreme radical, right? Like the Black Liberation Army, the BLA, the BLACK, Republic of New Africa, right? And to down, all the way down to the moderates, those who play the game of the oppressor, who sit in Master House, right? And you find them being draped in the titles bestowed upon them by their masters, right? Democrat, Republican, pastor, a deacon, a businessman. You see, you got a whole range in between those two. Radicals that don't want anything to do with it. Submissives who sit in the pocket and at the ankles of master. And everything in between. One of these groups, if you have been a true student of our people and people's struggle, has been the Southern Poverty Law Center. Those of us who know, we know. Those of us who know, we know because we know that law and what the OFA considers law is what stings us the most. You don't have to be part of any specific organized religion. OFA don't care about that. You don't even have to work. You don't care about none of that. You understand? But break the law. And your ass is in the pickle. So many of us who consistently lived on the outside of and in defiance of their law and are students, right, of struggle, of political struggle, of social struggle. We heard of the Southern Poverty Law Center. It was thrust in our face as a leading group who seemingly was fighting for justice in the face of the harsh conditions and violence that we suffered under. So I've been hearing about them for decades. Well, it seems they got their ass indicted. And it was going semi-viral because, again, this is a matter of importance. Because you're dealing with a group, with an organization that people have put full trust in, and they give resources. Like, man, I'm telling you, when we speak of fiat currency and being able to organize and having enough, man, I often wondered how certain organizations acquire so much, and at what point do our people, regardless of whether or not they are in the struggle, right? Whether or not they are in the struggle, give to certain organizations like that. You dig? Just give it on up. You know? It's like, what are we doing? NAACP, oh, give up for that. You understand? United Negro College Fund. Here. Just unquestioned, just without a second thought. Yeah, get it in. The brand and the branding of it. Yeah, get that. You dig? I don't know about the situation in Michigan. You gotta hit me on that. Crazy. Well, I'm going to tie one to the next because this is what we see. Okay? I'm going to tie one to the next. So now they've been indicted. And I'm going to run through this real quick for the indictment, then get into the history of the organization, its founders, and why this is so severe and in our face. A grand jury in Montgomery, Alabama today returned an indictment charging the Southern Poverty Law Center with 11 counts of wire fraud, false statements to a federally insured bank. There go that word, Tay, bank, right? Shit that we seem to not have. The bank and what that means, right? And conspiracy to commit concealment money laundering. I'm like this, whoa. Now that just seems like the regular scam, right? Some little grift shit that they did on their own. Hold on. The United States Attorney's Office for the Middle District of Alabama, Northern Division, filed 2 forfeiture actions to recover alleged proceeds of the organization's fraud scheme. The Federal Bureau of Investigation investigated this case with assistance from the IRS criminal investigation. Okay? Huh? The SPLC is manufacturing racism to justify its existence. Listen to that. This is what's in the indictment. This is coming from the acting attorney general. The SPLC, right, the Southern Poverty Law Center, is manufacturing racism. It is creating racism to justify its existence. In that language alone is very problematic, because what do you mean you're manufacturing racism? We already know racism exists, white folk. We see you. So for an organization that has been steadfast in suing, in using law to get seemingly a just reward, some type of repair for people who've been victimized by racism, man, this is a charge here. You're saying these people are acting as double agents. Now, the harm that it does to the government, the harm that it does to white folk, man, I could care less. But I'm talking about the harm that it does to us, melanated people, and the trust that some melanated people have in this organization. Because these are the go-tos. These are the go-tos when your cousin get lynched. These are the go-tos when your brother get beat the hell up, seemingly near death in a prison. So when you're saying that this organization manufactured racism to justify its existence, we got to get in that. Because this is what people, and not only this, but these are the arguments people use to get reparations. And reparations has been, the term has been kidnapped. It has been kidnapped and utilized as a tool to separate us, to divide our people instead of bringing us together. So if somebody's manufacturing racism, somebody as large as this organization and as studious and as scholarly, these are lawyers. You understand? Lawyers from a prestigious background that embody almost every institution. You get me? Almost every institution that our people have rallied up under. You dig? So if they not writing exact, a lot of organizations that have rocked with them, you remember tainted water. Remember, I gave y'all the analogy of the doo-doo water. If you wasn't in that class, I don't know what class it was in, but I gave you the analogy of the doo-doo water. Once something is tainted, it's tainted. And I dare anybody to drink the doo-doo water. You dig? You're not going to do it. So that's how we have to look at not only these organizations, but these individuals. If not, we're going to keep running into a brick wall. Check it. That's what the Attorney General said. Using donor money to allegedly profit off Klansmen cannot go unchecked. This Department of Justice will hold the SPLC and every other fraudulent organization operating with the same deceptive playbook accountable. No entity is above the law. So they saying that these people have been deceptive and fraudulent in the face of the United States government. That's their beef. My beef is different. Because these are the individuals who try to calm our people down. These are the individuals who say, yo, hold on. Now we understand George has been lynched in front of our eyes. We understand Trayvon was unjustly taken away from us. We understand, but don't burn the town down, because then you can't get no money. They say, we want these people to pay. Don't nothing hurt white folk more than getting in their pocket. See, that's the bullshit that I fight against on a regular basis. Nah. Nothing hurt white folk more than that pistol. Same pain you feel, the same pain they feel. White folk don't believe in that bread like that. They manufacture that bread. They haven't had a true value on their dollar in a long time. It ain't backed by shit. They know that it's a con game, it's a shell game. You get millions from them, they don't care. They print some more up. But that's that old Negro spiritual thinking. Nah. Nothing hurt them more than having to restart their bullshit when you burn down the cities. Okay? And they can't eat off of it for a generation. Okay? So, let's continue. The SPLC allegedly engaged in a massive fraud operation to deceive their donors, enrich themselves, and hide their deceptive operations from the public, said FBI Director Cash Panty Draws Patel. Yeah. That's what they calling him now. Don't listen. FBI, it ain't me. That's what they calling your man now. They calling him Panty Draws Patel. I ain't do it. They said he'd be dancing around in Fenty drawers. Don't get mad at the kid. Okay? So Cash Panty Draw Patel. This is what he's saying. Okay? They lied to their donors, vowing to dismantle violent extremist organizations, and actually turned around and paid the leaders of these very extremist groups, even utilizing the funds to have these groups facilitate the commission of state and federal crimes. That is illegal. This is an ongoing investigation against all individuals involved. That's deep for them to put this in an indictment. Now, we know Panty Draws Patel. They got some bullshit with them. We know they ain't writing exact. We going to put that out there. But I'm not going to turn a blind eye to the shit. I'm not going to say that this indictment ain't valid. What's weird for me is that nobody is named in the indictment. That's weird. But we'll continue. The SPLC is a non-profit organization headquartered in Montgomery, Alabama, whose mission, according to its website, during the relevant time period, was to be a catalyst for racial justice in the South and beyond, working in partnership with communities to dismantle white supremacy, strengthen intersectional movements, and advance the human rights of all people. This is what their mission is supposed to be. Lola, what's going on with you? This is what it's supposed to be. Now, my shit is, you can't dismantle white supremacy without busting your hammer. I never fell for no shit like this. I never fell for no organization like this. I don't follow anyone who is not talking about busting their hammer. None. Nobody. Yeah, we may look and acknowledge you. Yeah, we may have similar ideas and go. But if your end goal is not to bust your hammer, I don't follow you nowhere. Nowhere. Pussy to me, you playing games. So I'm trying to figure out how you're going to dismantle white supremacy without it. Because the only reason why white supremacy has been deemed supreme is because they bust their gun. They cracked that whip. They put that noose around your throat. They're not more intelligent than you. That's been proven. They're not stronger than you. That's been proven. They're not coof at all. They don't have anything. You dig what I'm saying? Nothing over you other than your thoughts of who they are, and they're gonna bust that gun. That's it. So you ain't dismantling shit. But people who are not on our level believe that they are. Oh no, they in the NAACP and this and no, they putting it down. Yo, they doing that work. They not doing a damn thing. Nothing significant. Small little hits here and there. But we are still up under the same yahoos, like I've been telling y'all. Pre-revolution, revolution, civil war, Reconstruction, post-Reconstruction. It's the same people, the same stinking ass piece of paper of Bill of Rights and constitutions and bullshit. How many times I gotta say this in class? I got notes here from class beyond. We under the same shit. Same thoughts. Okay? So they don't dismantle shit. Let's continue. According to the indictment, starting in the 1980s, the SPLC, Southern Poverty Law Center, began operating a covert network of individuals who were either associated with violent and extremist groups such as the KKK or who had infiltrated violent extremist groups at the SPLC's direction. So now, as an organization of lawyers, of squares and all that, they sent people into these violent organizations. Without busting a hammer, they just went up in there to spy on them. I spy shit. They needed resources to do that. So they get resources from the black church and ties, from fraternities, sororities, all these other groups that consistently give. Okay? Unbeknownst to the donors, people donating, some of their donated money was being used to fund the leaders and organizers of racist groups at the same time that the SPLC was denouncing the same groups on its website. So what the feds are saying is that, yeah, they said that they was going against the Klan, the Aryans, and all this other stuff. Y'all don't hear me? Y'all don't see me? Or is it just buffering? What do you mean it got E. Brown? Y'all don't hear me? Y'all don't see me? Man, y'all don't see me, man? I'm back now. Okay. So let me reread this now. Check it. Let me go back a paragraph. The donors gave their money believing they were supporting the fight against violent extremism. As alleged, the Southern Poverty Law Center instead diverted a portion of those funds to benefit individuals and groups that claim to oppose. This kind of deception undermines public trust and social cohesion. You got it? Between 2014 and 2023, the SPLC secretly funneled more than $3 million in donated funds to individuals who were associated with various violent extremist groups, including the Ku Klux Klan, United Klans of America, Unite the Right, the National Alliance, the National Socialist Movement, Aryan Nations affiliated Sadistic Souls Motorcycle Club, the National Socialist Party of America, or the American Nazi Party, and the American Front. You understand? This is where they throw some bread to. Now, according to the indictment, the objective of the scheme and artifice was to obtain money via donations through materially false representations and omissions about what the donated funds would be used for. So it's a sleight of hand shit. This is heavy, yo. This is heavy. Now, in order to covertly pay the individuals, the SPLC opened bank accounts connected to a series of fictitious entities. All right? Fictitious entities. Huh? The covert nature of the accounts allowed the SPLC to disguise the true nature, source, ownership, and control of the fraudulently obtained donated money the SPLC paid the individuals. In order to keep the scheme going, the SPLC made a series of false statements related to the operation of the accounts. A conviction will result in the forfeiture of financial gains from alleged illegal activities. So they're not seeking to put nobody in jail based on this indictment. They're just looking to bankrupt this shit and break it up as an organization. Okay? Money laundering, wire fraud. The allegations, fraudulent funding. The Justice Department alleges that the SPLC used donations to pay informants, some of whom were leaders of hate groups, to infiltrate white supremacist organizations. See, this is what the bag issue. This is what chasing the bag is. Listen, man, it's deep. These are the ones who are supposed to be fighting for you justice, for you. This is the legal shit. This ain't the political arm. This is the legal arm. Huh? Or indigenous warrior in this day and age, they could have just been set up. Straight like that. None of these allegations in this indictment have to be right and exact. When you're dealing with an organization that sits out in the public and on top, they wide open. They wide open. That's why I said it's funny that nobody is named in the indictment. Because it's just not a Southern Poverty Law Center. What is that? There's individuals that make that move, that give that motion, that makes it an active entity. Who's the CEO? Who's the CFO? Who's the lawyer in charge of this shit here? Who put the name? Who's in charge of finance? All this shit is digital paper trail. So this is what y'all saying that y'all got. So where's the individuals responsible for it? Right? So because this is what their lawyers are gonna have to fight. Like y'all gotta show and prove this. Okay, but it is damaging because you're saying that black people donated to these individuals who paid people to go out there and purposely hurt black people. So if this shit is true, do you know the damage that it's going to do? We can't trust Chuck D neither. He worked for the State Department. This is what I'm saying. When y'all come to this class, I'm telling you, I don't fuck with none of these individuals, man. Excuse me. Shell accounts. The SPLC is accused of using fictitious entities and covert bank accounts with names like Center Investigative Agency and Fox Photography to hide the payments from financial institutions and donors. Manufacturing extremism. Acting Attorney General alleged that the SPLC was not dismantling these groups, but was instead funding them, stating the organization was manufacturing the extremism it purports to oppose. Specific incident, right? The indictment mentions one informant received over $1 million for work affiliated with the National Alliance, and another was involved in organizing the 2017 Unite the Right rally. And that's what set it off, because the little Ofe girl got unalived at that rally. Look now. That's deep. You want to know why it's so deep? Because the founder. I want y'all to understand that this shit is not no light. This is man. Listen, this is Malcolm X moving away from the Nation of Islam. This is that deep. This is as deep as Webb Du Bois and them sending spies and agents into Marcus Garvey's organization and dismantling it. That's how deep it. This is what happens when black folk are not sitting in a space of, yo, if you do anything to undermine us, we knocking your head clean off. That's how deep this is, because it's the same play. You find a greedy nigger to disrupt everything. And our organizations are fragile as it is. because there's a lack of trust. There's a lack of proper goal setting and true organization. So most of us are fragile. So when you have some niggas in the mix, you get it? Now, the organization was founded by Julian Bond. Now, I'm very familiar with Julian Bond, familiar with his work. But because I want, man, listen, I'm going to bring this shit full circle, man. Because when you talk about the South, when you talk about Southern poverty, we are talking in the same space as those people who acknowledge themselves and have taken on the title of FBA. Right? That's where they at. They have a what? A lineage to the South. A lineage to chattel slavery. A lineage, right? This is Julian Bond. Listen. It is what it is. So you mean to tell me that somebody who has a direct lineage to the atrocities, the lynchings, they know the severity of it, is at the helm of this organization until the day he passed? Because listen, if you don't know the foundation, right? Foundational Black America. If you don't know the foundation of your doctrine or your belief system, shit get a little wacky. Okay? Julian Bond, born in 1940 in Nashville, Tennessee, to parents Julia Agnes and Horace Mann Bond. All right? His father was an educator, the president of Fort Valley State College. His mother was a former librarian at Clark, Atlanta. You hear these organizations, you hear these institutions, Clark, Atlanta. His mother, a prestigious organization. His father, president of a college. The family resided on campus at Fort Valley State College. The house of the Bonds was a frequent stop for scholars, activists, and celebrities passing through, such as Webb, or W.E.B. Du Bois, and Paul Robeson. So this is how Julian Bond was able to be in our face. Because this is what he came from. Do you get this? This isn't a slow leak. This is organizations. This is nepotism. This is passed down. Listen now. So that's who he is born from. Now, he started this with an OFE. Yes, he started the Southern Poverty Law Center with an OFE. Named Morris Dees. Morris Dees in 1971 helped Julian Bond found the Southern Poverty Law Center. The same one that's been indicted for working with OFE organizations who lynch, threaten, beat up melanated folk. You can't make this shit up. Right? Listen now. The public interest law firm based in Montgomery, Alabama. Okay, Julian Bond served as its president until 1979 and was an emeritus member of his board of directors at the time of his death in 2015. Bond also advocated for Africans in Europe So this is a foundational Black American based on the definition and the lineage that advocated for Africans in Europe. We cannot dispute the intelligence of Julian Bond. We cannot dispute the work that he put in. So if he was an advocate for Africans in Europe, I dare somebody without his scholarship to say that we ain't rocking with them. That them is tethers. You dig? Because if he was still alive today, social media and these little, digging in the butt in their basement ass Twitter fingers individuals would have something to say about him. Just like if Malcolm was alive, you would have these nondescript, uneducated folks coming at Malcolm on social media. You dig? So, listen, in 1998, Bond was selected as chairman of the NAACP. This is heavyweight shit. Southern Poverty Law Center, chairman is the NAACP. This is Julian Bond. This is the organization he began with an OFA. Okay? All right? Bond once referred to leading the NAACP as the most powerful job a black man can have in America. Now, why would he be selected as chairman? Well, of course, if W.E.B. Du Bois is coming to your crib as a youngin', and the NAACP itself founded and began by OFAs, and the Southern Poverty Law Center was founded in cooperation with an OFA. What good, what actual good towards our fight for true liberation are they? See, Bliz, what's going on? No, for real. Come on now. In November 2008, he announced that he would not seek another term as chairman. Bond agreed to stay on in the position through 2009. Okay? This is that organization that they say is sending funds to the Klan. Okay? But I don't want y'all to question what I'm saying here. Listen to what I'm saying, who this man is. Now that's him and what he began. But what is the foundation of Julian Bond? You got to get his foundation to deeper understand who he is. His father, Horace Brown, was born November 8th. Wow. That's my grandmother's born day. He was born November 8th, 1904 in Nashville, Tennessee. So Julian Bond's roots is in Tennessee. Lineage now. In Tennessee. Listen, his father, right? The grandson of enslaved Africans. Both his parents were college educated. His mother, Jane Alice Brown, was a school teacher. His father, James Bond, was a minister who served at congregational churches across the South. Congregational churches across the South, often associated with historically black colleges. His mother had graduated from Oberlin College in Ohio, and his father graduated from Breer College. This is Julian Bond's grandparents, right? Check it out now. James Bond later served as a Breer College trustee from 1896 to 1914. This is how deep in advanced learning this man came from. Check it. Both Brea and Oberlin were among the first colleges that were interracial. His parents were among the black elite and, with their educations, encouraged their children in academic achievement. So this is Julian Bond Pop's parents. Horace, right, was the sixth of seven children. One of his brothers, J. Max Bond Sr., became a prominent educator. During his childhood, Horace Bond had several unpleasant encounters with whites. In one incident, a white man, shot at their house after having a fight with Horace's older brothers. In another, his father was arrested by a white neighbor who was a police officer when the Bond family moved into an all-white street. Bond excelled in school, entering high school at the age of 9 and college at 14. And this is back then. So when y'all getting these kids, they say, well, this is a little first black kid that's in college and he's in 14, 13. Julian Bond Pops did that. So you see the false narratives people create? But no, we're going to continue. Bond graduated in 1923 at the age of 19 with honors from Lincoln University, a historically black college in Pennsylvania. He was one of the 24 founders of Beta Kappa Chi Honor Society. He was a member of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity at Penn State, where he went for graduate work. Bond realized that he was able to compete with white classmates and earn competitive grades above the 90th percentile. So that's Julian Bond Pops was already clicked up with the fraternities. I keep telling y'all how deep that shit get. Fraternities, Julian Bond Pops, his pops was rocking with W.E.B. Du Bois, the talented 10th, right? This is how deep this shit go. But y'all got people today telling y'all that y'all gonna get reparations from working with niggas like this. You dig? You're not getting shit from this if they're paying white Aryan groups that harm you, that historically have lynched you, drugged people from the back of the trucks, run sundown towns. This is why this indictment is so crazy. Y'all paying these dudes, knowing what they're going to do, and then coming on the back end saying, nah, y'all can't do that. Now, Julian Bond Pops, right, used to go around and test students. And he found out that, man, many of the melanated students were of a higher intelligence. Okay? So, check out what these individuals, once they found out what was going on, and they seen people, our people, who was pressing the courts through Brown versus the Board of Education to get specific laws passed, to get rid of separate but equal. These people, because of the work of Julian Bond Pops, these OFAs that sit in Washington, these OFAs that are politicians, part of the political system, drafted up a manifesto. I want y'all to understand this, because these same people sit in office. The same system is sitting there. But y'all want me to believe that because you call yourself something, that these folks is going to fold to you when you don't have the threat of power behind you. Check it out. The Declaration of Constitutional Principles, known formally as the Southern Manifesto, was a document written in February and March 1956. Okay? 1956. Okay? My in-law was born in 1964. 1956. This is the type of shit that they think about black people, melanated people. Check this out. A document written in February and March of 1956 during the 84th United States Congress in opposition to racial integration in public places. The manifesto was signed by 19 U.S. senators and 82 representatives from the southern United States. 82 representatives from the southern United States. We talking about the Southern Poverty Law Center. Okay? So look at the intermingling of black folks acting like they want something in conjunction with white folks that know that they don't want you to have shit. This is how layered and deep it get now. Listen, the signatories included the entire congressional delegation from Alabama, Arkansas, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, South Carolina, and Virginia. Most of the members from Florida and North Carolina, and several members from Tennessee and Texas. All of them were from the former Confederate states. 97 were Democrats, 4 were Republicans. They wrote and signed on this manifesto that your ass, listen, man. Listen. The manifesto was drafted to support reversing the landmark Supreme Court 1954 ruling, Brown versus the Board of Education, which determined that segregation of public schools was unconstitutional. School segregation laws were some of the most enduring and best known of the Jim Crow laws that characterized the South at the time. So knowing that, and I know that they know that, lawyers know this. How can you rock and fund organizations filled with white folk that don't even go to college? These is dirt farmers, and their only intent is to harass, shoot at, get drunk, and lynch black folk. But your most educated black folk is going to put an organization at risk by funding them, trying to play some I Spy double agent bullshit, while these bastards are still running around with sundown towns, and instead of staying on the farm, now they're law enforcement and ICE agents. So you see why I don't mingle with organizations and bullshit. Because y'all don't know what y'all doing. Y'all don't know what y'all saying. Let's continue. Massive resistance to federal courts. Massive resistance. Frankie Fierce, much appreciation for the first war fund effort of the night, 70 minutes in. Let's continue. Massive resistance to federal court orders requiring school integration was already being practiced across the South and was not caused by this manifesto. Okay? Senator J. William Fulbright of Arkansas had worked behind the scenes to tone down the original harsh draft. The final version did not pledge to nullify the Brown decision, nor did it support extra-legal resistance to desegregation. Instead, it was mostly a states' rights attack against the judicial branch for overstepping its role. So, overstepping its role. We in an administration right now, currently, that overstepped every role. 47 is wilding, doing what he want to do. Blurred the lines between executive, legislative, and judicial branch. That shit is done. All that bullshit you learned in high school is done. So, listen. If you couldn't enforce certain shit back then, what makes y'all believe that y'all can even get? First of all, they not even trying to hear. You don't hear reparations talk from white folk. I don't care where they sit. I don't care if they're a senator. I don't care if they're a representative. I don't care if they're a governor. I don't care if they're a mayor. You don't hear none of this shit. None of them have that on their platform, on their goals for the terms that they're sitting in. You don't go in their office and they see that. You don't see that shit nowhere. However, you got these people saying that, yo, this is what's going to happen. And I'm trying to figure where y'all, how y'all going to make this happen? That y'all sit in a space, okay, following a doctrine based on lineage that didn't have no power back then. This is what I'm questioning. Honestly, what are you going to do when they say no? Let's continue. The Southern Manifesto accused the Supreme Court of clear abuse of judicial power and promised to use all lawful means to bring about a reversal of this decision, which is contrary to the Constitution. They saying that the decision of Brown versus the Board of Education was contrary to the Constitution. So that means, right, that the Constitution, they saying, is right and exact by calling us, what? 3/5 of a human. That it was right in having us in shacks with a 50-page book with actually 3 pages in it saying that that's equal. This is what people who are elected officials and representative of white folk in these states is saying that, that all lawful means to bring about a reversal of this decision, which is contrary to the Constitution, and to prevent the use of force in its implementation. That's just so they didn't even want you to read. So what makes you believe that they're going to give y'all a bag of money in 2026 and beyond? What are y'all thinking about? For real. Y'all don't have no... What are you going to do when they say no? It's just... It doesn't make sense. Y'all not ready to bust a hammer? Y'all don't have hammers. Y'all not organized in that space. Check it out now. It suggests that the 10th Amendment should limit the reach of the Supreme Court on such issues. Senators in the Southern Caucus led the opposition, and Strom Thurmond, who recently just died, writing the initial draft, and Richard Russell the final version. So what do you think people who came up under Strom Thurmond and them, they still sitting in there with the same ideas? That's how 47 got here. That's how he was able to put because he not doing this shit. This is a mentality. This is a belief of white folk that they right and exact and you not. and you ain't doing shit about it. This is a belief. This is in their essence. Now, what did the Southern Poverty Law Center do? It filed lawsuits. Many lawsuits. And won money for people. But they sued the Klan. Check it. Person versus Carolina, Knights of the Ku Klux Klan, 1982. In 1982, all members of the Carolina Knights of the Ku Klux Klan terrorized Bobby Pearson, a black prison guard. I didn't even know they had prison guards in the South that were black in 1982. That surprised the fuck out of me. I thought being a CO was new shit. 1982, a black prison guard and members of his family. They harassed and threatened others, including a white woman who had befriended blacks. In 1984, Person became the lead plaintiff in Person versus Carolina Knights of the Ku Klux Klan, a lawsuit brought by the Southern Poverty Law Center in the United States District Court. The harassment and threats continued during litigation, and the court issued an order prohibiting any person from interfering with others inside the courthouse. In January 1985, the court issued, a consent order that prohibited the group's Grand Dragon, Frazier Glenn Miller Jr. and his followers from operating a paramilitary organization, holding parades in black neighborhoods, and from harassing, threatening, or harming any black person or white persons who associated with black persons. Subsequently, the court dismissed the plaintiff's claim for damages. Okay? That's what the Poverty Law Center does. So now, all these years that they've been suing the Klan, come to find out that they've been funding the Klan to put plays together. How we know that they didn't? Well, I keep asking y'all, telling y'all, how in the hell George Zimmerman's still running around? Don't nobody see him. How do we know that the Southern Poverty Law Center didn't pay him to go out there and pop some little black kid head off? It's ironic that they didn't charge him, like I was saying, he would have been found guilty if they would have charged him with harming a minor, endangering the welfare of a minor. Trayvon was a minor. Unless Florida got a different age for minors, he was a kid. If you would have charged him with that, he wouldn't have beat that. But ironically, they charged him in a way so that the jury was going to find him not guilty. And he's running around, he's out and about in the street. Y'all don't see him, don't nobody see him, which leads me to believe that feds, either he's an agent for him or feds was protecting him and still protecting him. Because the way it go up in Florida, yeah, somebody would have took a pop at him. He's just not out and about. But how we know the Southern Poverty Law Center didn't put that play together? How we know that the Southern Poverty Law Center didn't put all these little plays together? Ahmaud Arbery and all this little wildness that's been going on in the South. They said that they've been paying upwards of $1 million for people who sit at the helm of these organizations and put in work. These ain't people who just sit down. These are people who put in work. So how we know that the Southern Poverty Law Center hasn't been paying ICE out of his budget or somebody to infiltrate ICE? So that's how deep this shit go when you talking about that, because that Southern Poverty Law Center and its lawyers have a direct line to who? Pastors of mega churches, the reverends, the politicians. And these are the people that FBA believe that they could lean on to get reparations. Because they're not talking about busting their hammer. None of them. They don't want reparations in blood. That's only this class. They want to legislate. They believe that they're going to get somebody in there that's going to have some sweeping Moses parted the Red Sea type shit in Congress, and y'all going to get a check. I'm trying to figure. They didn't even want y'all to read or vote as far as the Constitution and that three-branch democracy that we've been living under. They didn't want y'all to do shit, and still don't. But for some reason, you think if you separate yourself, give yourself this title, that you're going to run with it, and they're going to say, you know what? Yeah, we're going to give them, but not them. This is what they believe. So I always question it. How? How? What's going to be the determinant basis for that? Because people, whether they acknowledge it or not, through lineage are FBA. And a lot of them are police. A lot of them are COs. You got a few ICE agents. Are they going to give reparations too? What's going to be the determining factor of who get it and who don't? So the black police that was involved in killing Freddie Gray in B-More, they deserve a reparation check too? No, real talk. Huh? Come on now. What about the FBAs that's been in jail for 2 decades, 3 decades? Do they get one? Who advocating for them? Who's advocating for the 2 million prisoners in federal, state, and local jails across the country who are FBA? They get a check too? For real, where we going at with it? Because these are the questions white folk gonna ask you. So at any time down the line, somebody could just probably say, I need my check. What's the time period of this shit here? Huh? Come on now. Now, I'm going to do one better. And this is a little extensive. We hit, 84 minutes? But you got to rock with me because, listen, shit like this blows your mind because this is shit that wasn't taught in school. Because if we using the basis of slavery and people want to reduce themselves to a slave in order to get a bag, they want to reduce, instead of saying, yo, I'm God and I can get my own, fall back and leave me alone. Instead of saying that, they're going to reduce yourself to a condition that was thrust upon people, certain people. Because in this class, I already told you, melanated people had old-faced slaves back in the day. Our question was, do that black slave masters people, do they have to pay reparations? Is there any black wealth tied to slavery. People don't want to have that conversation, though. But what blew my mind, and which should have been taught, at least in African American studies or something, was the case of John Casser. Now, I always wondered about it, and sometime our research and study puts us at J or K. Marcus Morris, much appreciation for the war effort. Right? Puts us in a higher space. We all the way over here with it. Instead of the simple shit. And for me, this is real simple. Because I could go back to Julius Caesar and bring it up and talk about white supremacy and the idea and the thoughts and the doctrine. Some people, y'all can choose to get on some Dr. York shit and say that these people was cave dwellers and they got tails and all. You could do all that. Nope. We're going to get into it, man. And this shit going to blow your mind. All right? John Casser. And I want to thank my boy. Ooh-wee. Yeah. You know Tay, my boy John Tay, for pushing this in my direction. Because it made me go right up in it. John Casser. Right? This is the shit that people need to research, because this gives you the point of argument to give you some clarity. John Casser, an indentured servant and later slave in Northampton County in the colony of Virginia in 1655, became one of the first people of African descent in the 13 colonies to be enslaved for life as a result of a civil suit. Now that's where you look at it. Listen, and I done spoke about it in class. What was the legality? And we've seen videos and we've seen research of people that was giving us the first terminology of a white person. There was no terminology of white people. They had to create that in order to separate people. Indeed, Shanita, reparations divides people and distracts them from banding together and focus in one mission until it's completed. Exactly. Okay? Yeah, listen, this shit is deep. This shit is deep. Legally. And then I went back to what is legal? What is law? What is the first case in the colonies? Where was the first court? I told you I went to Philly. I was fucked up to stand. They said this is the first courtroom. I was standing in it and I'm looking for Freemasonry's, symbolisms in the courtroom. That courtroom was dry. I got the picture. I'm in Philly like this in South Philly. The Liberty Bell and all that. All that shit is documented. So you don't have to argue with people online that don't do shit but just claim something. Oh, this sound good. Yeah, this is what I'm at. This is who I am. This is where we going. You don't have to deal with facts. So this is the first court case. Check it now. John Casser died in the colony of Virginia. This is the colonies now. Occupation, slave. Years active, 1654 until his death. Known for the first official slave in the 13 colonies under civil law. So he's the first legal slave for life. Check it. In 1662, the Virginia colony passed a law incorporating the principle of partus sequitur ventrum, ruling that children of enslaved mothers would be born into slavery regardless of their father's race or status. This contradicted English common law for English subjects, which based a child's status on that of the father. In 1699, the Virginia House of Burgesses passed a law deporting all free black people. But many new families of free black people continue to be formed during the colonial years by the close relationships among the working class. So that means you have free blacks here in the colonies. Again, we read the book, we did the knowledge, they came before Columbus, that indigenous people throughout the world was here, trading and all that. So we were indigenous here as free people. And if we was doing that, then we have to assume that we, as free people, had slaves. Especially slaves that was coming over, that were broke, that didn't know how to farm, that didn't know the language, from Europe. Because they was coming from jails. Unlearned, unlettered, dirty and stink. So of course, if we in a position here where we've been here since 1100, 1200, 1300, you up, you balling. You're going to participate in the systems of the day, which means that you had melanated blacks enslaving Ophies here. Okay? And that's a fact. Now, let's continue. We gotta go. Look. At this time, right, there were only about 300 people of African origin living in the Virginia colony, about 1% of an estimated population of 30,000. The first group of 20 or so Africans were brought to Jamestown in 1619 as free captives. Although most historians believe slavery as an institution developed much later, they differ on the exact status of the servitude of Africans before slavery was established legally, as well as differing over the date when this took place. The colonial charter entitled English subjects and their children the rights of the common law. Still, people of other nations were considered foreigners or aliens outside of the common law. At the time, the colony had no provision for naturalizing foreigners. Anthony Johnson, a black Angolan, was an indentured servant brought to the James River area of Virginia on the ship James in 1621. During the late 1640s, Johnson moved with his family to Northampton County on the eastern shore of Virginia. He acquired property, right, on what is it, Pungotague Creek, and began raising livestock. He was the first known African landowner in the colony. By July 1651, he had expanded his holdings, which he referred to in a court record as mine owned ground, to 250 acres. Then a considerable tract by Eastern Shore standards. He was prosperous enough to import 5 indentured servants of his own and was granted an additional 250 acres as head rights for bringing in workers. Black man. black man with slaves in the system. In 1653, John Casser, an African man employed by Johnson, black man with a black slave, filed what later became known as a freedom suit. He said that he had been imported with an indenture of 7 or 8 years, and that Johnson told him he did not have one after he attempted to reclaim it. So that means he did what? Some theft shit. Whatever the indenture was, whether it was on paper, whatever, he stashed it, he tucked it. Like, you ain't got no indenture for 7 years. I got you. I own you. Black man. Enslaved in the black man. Okay? This is how far back we've been doing the bullshit to each other. Listen up now. According to the civil court documents, Casser demanded his freedom. Anthony Johnson was in an affair. Upon this, his son-in-law, his wife, and his 2 sons persuaded the said Anthony Johnson to set the said John Casser free. Casser went to work for Robert Parker, an English colonist who, along with his brother George, later testified that they knew Casser had an indenture. White folk is saying, nah, he got an indenture. He only supposed to be there 7 years. So we got him. We're going to hold him down. One commentator said that Johnson, may have feared losing his head rights land if the case went to court. So that new land that money got, because he had slaves, if homie break out as an indentured and go to court, he might lose it all. So here, in this day and time, you got a black capitalist on some Rick Ross shit. A black capitalist, right? On some Dummy Mayweather shit. A black capitalist on some Dame Dash shit. Following the system of white folk in the sports and entertainment industry, because you're not scared to go in a room full of white folk and tell them your dreams. This is the type of shit that Johnson was on back then. Okay? In 1654, Johnson sued Robert Parker. He sued the white dude in Northampton County Court for detaining his Negro servant, John Casser, saying he never did see any indenture, but that he had yea Negro for his life. Here, this black man is saying, nah, I own this nigga for life. In the case of Johnson versus Parker, the court of Northampton County upheld Johnson's right to enslave Casser, saying in his ruling, that this day Anthony Johnson, Negro, made his complaint to the court against Mr. Robert Parker and declared that he, detaineth his servant John Casser, Negro, under the pretense that said Negro was a free man. The court, seriously considering and maturely weighing the premises, do find that the said Mr. Robert Parker must unjustly keepeth the said Negro from, what most unjustly keepeth the said Negro from Anthony Johnson, his master. So now you say, this is the court, that you was unjust, white man, in taking this black slave from this black man. It is therefore the judgment of the court and ordered that the said John Casser, Negro, forthwith return unto the service of his said master, Anthony Johnson, and that Mr. Robert Parker make payment of all charges in the lawsuit. Now, what did that do? On paper, in the court of law. Huh? Do y'all know, do y'all know, do y'all know? Huh? In sustaining the claim of Johnson to the perpetual service of Casser, the court also gave judicial sanction to the right of free black people to enslave another black person. Okay? And indeed, there's no earlier record of knowledge that has been found on judicial support given slavery in Virginia except as a punishment for a crime. So before then, there was no slavery as we seen it on Roots for life. There was none of that until this black man went to court to sue a white man for a black man to keep him as a slave. So law sets precedent. I told you that even in this day. That's all court is. They set precedent. So before then, there was no slavery for life. There was indentured servants. Anybody coming here, but a black man sued and opened the gate. And from that point on, it was on. Listen. Historians makes the distinction because in 1640, John Punch was reduced from his former condition of servitude for a limited time to a condition of slavery for life. In 1670, the Colonial Assembly passed a law prohibiting free and baptized black and indigenous people from purchasing white Christian persons, but allowing them to buy people of their own nation. In this meaning, purchase is also related to buying the contract services of indentured servants of various nations. In 1665, Anthony Johnson and his wife Mary, his son John, and his wife Susanna, and John Casser moved to Somerset County, Maryland. Casser remained free and enslaved by Johnson. Casser remained enslaved by Johnson for the rest of his life. That was it. He won the lawsuit. He won the case. Snatched up Casser. And he moved to Maryland. And from that point on, John Casser was a slave legally for life. First documented case. White folk went fool after that. Legal restrictions related to African servants continue to be made. The courts reasoned that insofar as Negroes were heathens, they could never become Englishmen. Insofar as they were not Englishmen, they could not be entitled to the protections of the common law, which was limited to English subjects. Africans were considered foreigners or aliens. Back then, this is still the same paperwork that they use to this day. They think of you as weird, as an alien, as a foreigner. So when you get language of FBAs calling people tethers and foreigners and that's your hairline and this is your length, you doing the same shit that white folk is doing to your own melanated people. All because of no other reason other than wanting reparations. A check from white folk. That makes sense? You understand? In 1662, the colony passed a law that children of enslaved women of African descent and thus foreigners were to take their mother's status rather than the father's, as was the current under English common law. The principle called partus sequitur ventrum had been adopted from Roman law, like I told y'all. This is the same Julius Caesar Caligula shit, the Roman Empire, Roman law, and caused children born of a free white mother and a black father to be born free. In 1691, the law was amended. Such mixed-race children had to serve as indentured servants for 30 years, while the mother would be fined 15 pounds sterling. If the mother failed to pay the fine within a month of birth, she was indentured herself for 5 years. Listen, man, listen. This shit is so deep. Yeah, it's deep. But legally it was set off by a black man. So when we talking about reparations, are we suing black folk too? Are we suing black folk too? Because they started this shit. White folk might not even have thought of the idea, just like they never thought of hip hop. But you separate yourself on it. No, I want to know who y'all think y'all getting a check from. Because they didn't take no bread from y'all. They took blood, they took babies, they took life. They took your name, they took your way of being. You can't get that back with a check. You got to get that back here and here. So I'm asking these questions. Real talk. Because black people set this shit off. Why wasn't this taught in social studies? Why haven't Farrakhan spoke on this? Why haven't Skip Gates spoke on this? Or any of the other intellectuals? Why they didn't tell you about the John Casser case until we just heard it from an economic strategist? To give clarity to you, to let you see. By the end of the 17th century, colonialists were importing many African slaves via European slave traders to satisfy their demands for labor. There was limited demand for slaves, and trade, with America was unprofitable, with the trade with the West Indies and South America remaining far more lucrative. The most likely source of slaves was directly from the West Indies, rather than Africa, through the contacts that the American colonies maintained with the European colonies in the region. By an act of 1699, the colony ordered all free black people deported, virtually defining slaves as all people of African descent who remained in the colony. Most historians argue that John Punch, an African who was ordered indentured for life in 1640, should be considered the first documented slave in Virginia. Punch had escaped along with 2 white indentured servants, one from the United Provinces and one from Scotland. When they were captured, all 3 were sentenced to whippings. The Dutchman and the Scotsman were sentenced to an additional 4 years of servitude. However, John Punch, the African, was sentenced to servitude for the rest of his life. The difference in the penalties makes this one of the first cases to show a racial distinction between black and white indentured servants. So what time frame are we speaking? Because this shit been going on a long time. What time frame are we speaking? Where y'all talking reparations? Where and when? From what time period? And have y'all got the data compiled of free black folk, free melanated folk who had white slaves, who had black slaves, and who sued white men to get a black slave to work for the rest of their life? Listen. I just want clarity so people can stop the separate bullshit. Especially when they're not talking about busting their hammer. Come on. Listen, it's already 1 o'clock. And I could go on. I could go on. I could go on. Trust me. Trust me. Because it's so deep that, man, that it blows your mind, man. It blows your mind why anybody would be so off code. This shit just, man, I'm telling you, it gives you a clear perspective of the wants and the needs of a true person. When y'all sit there and y'all think y'all gonna, I don't want these people around, period. Period. I don't want nothing to do with them. Nothing. Nothing. Give me minds and blood. Give me minds and blood. And that's straight up. Everything else I could get. Everything else I could get. Everything else. But you know, you could only bring somebody to the point of their understanding. That's all you can do. That's all they could do. You bring them to a point of a certain understanding and that's it. Sometimes they shit just malfunction because they believe in, they put faith in, because it damn sure ain't no hope. Reparations is not hope, because you never seen it come to melanated folk. Okay? Much appreciation, Malik. Much appreciation for the boy effort. Listen to what I'm saying. You cannot get a person past what they think. Because hope, I told y'all, hope is something you've witnessed before. You've seen it happen. Or you've done it. Right? Like when the police is chasing you, put the afterburners on, you jump the fence. Next time you doing the same shit, you hope you could jump the fence again because you did it. Boom. Or you seen somebody do it, somebody running, yo, get away, son. Boom, he get away. Hope, right? Hope, your favorite basketball team, you see your favorite player, boom, it's 2 seconds left, he pull up for the three. Damn, you hope that go in. Why? Because you've seen it happen many, many times before. Faith is blind. You never seen that shit. You never seen it. Right? You ain't see Jesus walk on no water. That's blind faith. You never seen that shit. You understand? So when it comes to reparations for who we are, that's blind faith. You putting faith in some bullshit. That's what you doing. Instead of putting total belief in self. See, I seen it. I know what it is. I done knocked old face down and dragged him. I done put that hammer in the old face mouth. I done bled him. I seen him bleed. I know the blood trickle the same way if I would do it to a black person. If I hit you with this barrel right here and that blood trickle, you gonna cry and scream out for your life. You understand? I did it. I did it. Several years of doing it. I've seen the enemy fall and fold, so I don't have that fear. When you are legislating, when you are begging, when you are marching, that's fearful bullshit. Or hope that you don't get your head bust open when they come over there. It's silly shit. It's old strategies and tactics. So my question is again, when they say no, what are you going to do? Because they're not thinking about you. Gas is $4, $5 a gallon. They're trying to go get crude oil from over here. They're worrying about wars over here. They're trying to reestablish shit over here. They're looking for space on the moon and all type of other shit. Ain't not near Ofe talking about giving you no goddamn reparation check because you don't have no force behind you. If they don't give it to you, you're not doing shit. So why make enemies amongst other melanated people? I don't get it. Why? Why? Why look at a man who may have been fighting the same fight on the other side of the world and say that he's not you and you not him? When your enemies see y'all as the same. That shit is just asinine. It's asinine. And on the real, if you behind penitentiary walls, that shit ain't gonna fly. It don't. It don't. You talk that sucker shit out loud in between them federal penitentiary walls talking about, don't fuck with that black dude and see what happens. And see what happens. Man, I don't know, man. Sometimes I be wanting class to jar something in people. I really do. I really do. Because I'm telling you, there's not an institution I haven't been in. There's not a political space I haven't sat in. And I see people performing. I see people being mannequins for white supremacy and they don't even know it. I see people who are so damn sleep and unaware of themselves. And in this day and time, I'm telling you, our people going to get crushed. Crushed. And they don't see it. They just don't get it. What do we need to do? We need to really and truly understand our political and military position here. Our people have to get rid of their ego and have to really have a space where they clear their heart and their mind and begin to listen to each other, organize effectively, and be willing to utilize, that ultimate rage that they have and put in that work. That's it. Put in that work, get up away from these people. That's what you got to do. You got to be militant minded and stop the dumb shit, because everything you've been doing is not working. You disconnected from your women, you're disconnected from your kids, you're disconnected from the universe and nature. You right where white folk want you to be. Silly, selfish, and stupid. You right where they want you to be. You right there. They ready to pick your ass off at any given time. Any given time. They got you. You see how many black police was in front of that house in Bed-Stuy? A deed theft case that they're claiming is a deed theft case. Why would any black officer be standing there? Why would any black officer in the court take that woman to the back because the judge held her in contempt? Do you understand? That's how our people mind is. Y'all the enforcers of unjust and unfair laws. Black men and women in uniform. That's how twisted you are. Twisted. You see how many black officers, especially in New York City, is around when somebody's getting punched in the face and abused? Complicit in it. They chilling. Because they got you thinking you not them. Or you not one of them type of blacks. Yeah, you with us. You got the most evil stare. Yeah. That's what they do. That's what we do. That's what we do. But when you truly woke, when you're truly conscious, when you're in tune with the universe, you know you are God. You got to brush that shit off. And find like minds. You got to be with your A likes. And build. I'm telling you. But we gotta go. It's 1:20. It's 1:20. I done passed 2 hours. Again, to those who funded the war effort, much appreciation. It's already Fish Friday. And again, as you see, past 1, I get up from here, I get in the shower, I get down, lay in the bed. I still gotta edit and tag the video as much as I can before I pass out, and I'm right back up again. 6 o'clock. Back in the community, back doing arrivals at 2 or 3 different elementary schools, back in the street, back helping an elder, doing all that is required to do. But people think I'm bullshit, that this is fun and games, that, it is what it is. Again, much appreciation to those who funded the war effort. Fish Friday, I don't even know what I'm going to do. I'm honest. I don't even know if we're going to get that in. Okay? Let them know you're in the mental health service industry, because that's what we need. That's what we have to do. Yeah, you dig? So, again, to my classroom assistants, much appreciation for holding it down as you always do. Remember, guard your mind. Guard your mind. Question everything. Don't let people just stand firm in their bullshit. Guard your mind. Okay? Guard your mind. Be militant. Remain in your space. Make sure you come back to class with all 10 fingers and 10 toes. Don't believe in me. Believe in my belief in you. Anything you research with clean eyes and clear ears. So you seeking the ultimate truth. Break it down to its simplest form. We dealing with science and math. Okay? We dealing with science and math. That's how you win wars. And stop getting emotional and believing in anything, because there's a group of people tell you, yeah. Man, listen. All right? Don't get caught up in the bullshit. You dig? All my truckers, be safe out there. Everybody that drive, everybody that is in the mix of the dunya, everybody that's in the mix of this bullshit, be safe. Okay? You get it? Alright? And again, like I said, for those who funded the war effort, much appreciation. We'll do it again soon. Alright? 55 gang. Get y'all grades up.